Kids lying is crazy, because even in an environment where they're allowed to make mistakes, talked to in a way that encourages truth and honesty, they still fucking lie. I remember my son was about 6 or 7 years old. He unplugged the Wi-Fi to plug in a charger. He plugged it back into a different outlet after realizing what he'd done. Not a big deal. I asked him if he unplugged the Wi-Fi and he said no. I asked him again if he was sure because it was in a different outlet. That boy swore up, down, left, and right he did not unplug the Wi-Fi. I explained to him, son, you are not in any trouble. I just want to know the truth. But now it looks like you're lying, because we definitely had the Wi-Fi plugged into the other outlet. Boy starts crying, saying he never unplugged the Wi-Fi. My buddy's just shaking his head, and that was the end of that. But not really, because he kept fucking lying. But around 12, 13 is when I started to notice like a big shift. Now, my daughter, age 9, over the last year has been going through the same thing. I don't know what it is, but these kids seem to go through some sort of lying phase, and all I can do is continue to teach them integrity and be a great role model. They have to see it in front of them and not just like in the movies or hear about it, you know? You got to teach them how to be integral even when it doesn't serve you, just to stand on being integral as an individual. Show it as a strength. Show the truth as a strength. Imagine not being ashamed to be wrong because you're not scared of the truth, because you're comfortable learning, because you're an integral person with everything you engage with. I teach my kids strength and truth and integrity, so whatever they end up choosing to do, wherever they end up choosing to do it, they'll end up being used to seeing someone stand on business and seize the opportunity where necessary. Because one thing I noticed about after like 15 years of working numerous jobs is ever so often there are work politics, favorites, and some form of what feels like fucking oppression. I'm not too sure what's up with that. I'm dealing with that right now in my workplace. So when I go home and vent to my wife, often my kids will want to engage in convo as well. And typically the dilemma is revolved around taking accountability, job safety, or some form of integral situation. Eventually my kids will have their own experiences, but the beautiful thing about having life experiences your kids have yet to experience is preparing them best possible for these experiences so they can quickly identify and take the righteous road easily without question or pressure from peers. I think those kinds of things are important. Those things you can only learn by standing on business. My son is at an age now where he acknowledges the truth much more often, even at times when it doesn't serve him. It's good to see the consistency manifest, but what a relief for your child to have enough humility to admit they are wrong, or just to have more of an open mind when in discussion about like their privileges or why they receive some sort of restriction. To be able to discuss things with your children is the first step to having an honest relationship or an honest child. But you start yelling straight off the muscle every damn time and that child ain't talking to you, man. You gotta get in control of your emotions, big dog. So we've talked about big dad energy. Now let's talk about black dad energy. You see, there's a time for the truth and there's a time when your child needs to stop talking. One time we were on our way back from a wildlife reservation in Washington State, passing through Gig Harbor. Our car breaks down. Kid has to take a shit. Kid shits. Cop rolls up after a while, just pulling over to, make sure everything's all right until we get help. Kid starts a convo and is sure to let the cop know that dad's been to jail before. Other kid points at the pile of shit. Cop's like, that's gross. So you can imagine what the lesson was when we got in that motherfucking car, man. Hush your mouth. Sometimes kids lie just to grab your attention. Sometimes I'll roll with it too. Let them talk their shit. Sometimes I'll get fully involved and break down their story with them. Or show them how crazy their story is. But it's pretty normal for them to tell stories when they're younger, most definitely. I think stories are great for the imagination. until the stories are expected to be believed every time as true. That's called a pathological liar. I'm a big believer in being honest with my kids. I'm not even a fan of Santa. Yeah, I know I sound like the Grinch. It's not that I don't want them to tap into magical things. It's just that I want them to understand life and how the world works. We can make magic happen in other forms and fashion. Surprises are cool, but holy days based off of lies, gluttony, and greed is a little wild to me. And yes, to me it is that deep. To me, I want my child to understand how the world works so they can figure out their place and who they want to be. And the more they understand about themselves and their relationship with life. When we first started out our family, we did all the traditional holidays. However, now viewing the world through a new lens, a more matured lens, we started to replace them with our own calendar holidays. And I really think it's important for several reasons. I think it's important to have your own immediate household traditions to build bonds within the home. And the same for outside the home as well. It's important to have things to look forward to, but not be stressed about the same race to rush to stores or financial burdens. It gives you a way to recreate the way your family celebrates and interacts with the world. It helps to co-create the world you really wish to live in. Yes, you will get hella flack from everybody. Just remember, most of these people have not accomplished just whatever it is you're after. Something my wife and I had right away was the sense that this is our family and no one else's. But like in any partnership, you gotta have honesty. As soon as you taint the water, it's a murky swim. So let's keep it clean, keep it honest, keep it real. Now, the flip side is when you're dealing with a toxic woman, that can get tricky, having to deal with domestic ops. I don't know how you cats do it. I got lucky, had time to interview mine, bagged a good one. But no matter how amazing my wife is and was, the kids seem to have some sort of like persuasive, articulate method to swindle her. Cause boy, mainly my son, he be having her convinced and himself. But eventually she starts seeing through the bull and seeing the signs. I always thought that was interesting. But I was a lying ass boy too. So of course I was familiar with his tricks of the trade. I think at the end of the day, you just gotta keep being great and showing these kids how to stand on business and be integral. Welcome to Big Dad Energy. You can catch us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Look out for content for the Daily Dad.